Good morning, good afternoon, or maybe good evening to all our LinkedIn family all over the globe. I want to seize this moment to tell you Eid Fitr Mubarak for all of you. And I wish you a full life full of health, blessings, and prosperity. And very soon, I hope that this pandemic will be like a history. So take care of yourself and be safe always. Today's topic is very, very compelling and it's very touching heart for myself. This topic especially has changed drastically my life, and it's very compelling to tell you about it. It's how to become an amazing and effective communicator. Many people they underestimate the power of effective communication. Effective communication, from my point of view, it's you can build an influence in either your personal life or your business level, or at the business level. That's why we have today a special guest. I consider her as one of the top niche in the effective communication and the communication training. So I want you to seize this moment, and I want to see this moment to introduce Elaine Jacques. Welcome, Elaine.
Thank you so much, Ahmad. It is my pleasure to be here.
How are you? How's everything? How's life?
I'm doing great. I'm looking forward to this wonderful conversation with you and your amazing audience.
Thank you so much, Elaine. If you can, if possible, if you can share a little bit about yourself to our audience today.
Well, thank you. That's very kind. I am still very humbled by the intro video that you did. I'm like, oh my goodness, that makes me sound amazing.
It's a pleasure.
So, I am currently from the United States. I love to travel, love meeting people and communicating with people all over the world. So I'm excited about our conversation because communication is very near and dear to my heart.
Thank you, Elaine. Elaine, I think today it's the topic. This topic, as I said before, it's a life changing, and most people they don't look and focus into the effective communication. So I will seize this moment to ask you the first question, which is really touching my heart, especially in the workplace. So, how would you describe the effective communication inside the workplace?
Oh, that's a very important question that I think matters a lot to a lot of people. And the one thing I like to emphasize, especially right at first, is that respect is so important. It doesn't matter where you are on the corporate tree, if you will, having respect for the people around you. There's a lovely quote that I'm not going to be able to remember where it comes from. I think it's Maya Angelou, where she says, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I think all of us feel that when we feel valued as individuals, when we feel respected as individuals, we do our best work. So that is one of the things, having mutual respect for each other and creating an environment of respect in the workplace, I think is so critical to helping people feel open and able to be authentic and share their ideas as they communicate with each other in the workplace.
What a lovely statement. I think the respect itself and just to let people care about, they feel that you care about them. I think this is one of the effective communication because you show this kind of empathy to inside the workplace. And I love what you said that it's not only inside the corporate life, it's also about even the personal life with your family, with your friends, with everyone. And this is a life changing one. So coming back to our lovely audience today, we have Shay. He's from Dublin for sure. He's saying, "Hey guys," and we have here Tamer. Thank you, Tamer, for attending today. And we have Kamal. And let's thank you, Kamal, for your attendance. We have also Amr Auf. Thank you, Amr, for attending. So, guys, just to let you know, we don't need to push the questions from ourselves. So, if you have anything related to the communication or any obstacles that you see from communication point of view, you can ask directly, and we'll move organically into your question. So, the second question: what are the greatest challenges for being an effective communicator from your point of view and your experience, Elaine?
Oh, you ask really good questions, Ahmad. Thank you. I would say probably one of the biggest challenges that we all have is allowing our ego to get in the way, not understanding that each person wants to be treated as someone who's important and has value. And I think that a lot of times we get really excited about everything that we know and we want to talk and we don't want to listen as much. And every person that you meet has something that they can teach you, whether it's on the less positive side of, I don't want to do that. That's not something I want to do in my world. But also on the very positive side, they all come, each person comes with their own experience, and to recognize that each person is important and they can teach you something, and being willing to listen and being very present and helping them understand that they are valued in what they have to share with you.
Amazing, Elaine. Uh, I share with you also something about that some challenges that I faced it even during my communication before. So I think one of the biggest pillars and fundamentals of the effective communication is effective listening. And the effective listening is not easy one at all, because I believe you have two factors on effective listening. A big part, from my point of view, it's because of the speaker himself. He can control, and he is just drawing roads inside your mind, and he can let you be always, don't lose the attention for that. And the other part is in the receiver, or just the audience who listen. uh, Listening effectively, because I'll tell you an example. Sometimes when I don't listen well, some people, they speak, I swear to God, and I'm thinking totally, my mind is somewhere else, totally somewhere else. And after finishing maybe like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, people speak, then what you were saying, can you please repeat again? Can you please repeat again? It's I don't know. I don't want to say it, but it's humiliating, because the speaker, you're not valuing me, but you don't value my time, value my speak. So effective listening, I think it's one of the biggest even challenges I personally faced it in my life. Back to our lovely audience. So we have here Tamer. He's saying, I like this topic. Thank you, Tamer. Thank you so much. We have Samia. Thank you, Samia, for your attendance. Thank you. We have also Muhammad. Thank you, Muhammad, for your attendance. We have also Emmett. Hi, everyone from Liberia. Thank you, Emmett. Thank you so much. And we have again Dareen. Thank you, Dareen. Thank you for your attendance and being there. Hussein Al Masri, best of luck. Thank you, Hussein. So, guys, again, I'm saying that if you have any question, please let us know. Ask your question. Make use of Elaine, because again, she is an amazing communicator. I'm telling you personally, seriously, she's an amazing communicator. If you have anything in your mind, you can ask her directly, and we'll take your question accordingly. So, coming back to our lovely questions, Elaine. So, uh, is there any measurement from your experience that we can say that this guy or this woman or whatever, whoever, is an effective communicator?
Oh,
I
that's
know
an
it's not
excellent.
easy one. It's not easy one.
No, these are good questions, Ahmed. Thank you. I would say the best way to assess if someone's an effective communicator is how they make other people feel. If you help people to feel important, if you help them to feel valuable, whether or not you agree with them, if you show them respect. I like to say that when we show respect to somebody else, it's a reflection of our character, and however the other person responds is a reflection of theirs. And to keep that in mind can help us to not get defensive if their opinion doesn't agree with ours. And also, like you were talking about, recognizing that doing effective listening, doing very intentional listening, is a wonderful and super free way to show respect to the other person. So having someone who, I think the quote goes something along the lines, if you want to be interesting, be a good listener. And, if you want someone to be interested in you, listen to them. Don't, people think, oh, I have to have interesting stories to tell and everything. And that's true. But it also is how well you listen to them and how you help the other person feel that they are someone of value is the best way to assess someone's effective communication in the work environment. I will clarify that to say if people are happy, if they're feeling productive, if they are communicating well with each other, there's clear communication, that there aren't a lot of communication breakdowns. That's a great way to assess whether or not your team or your corporate culture is one of effective communication.
Lovely. Thank you, Elaine. We have here a question. Guys, I will skip a little bit because I'll take, because of the constraint of the time, I will go quickly into the questions that most people they have. So feel free to ask your questions and I will jump on it. So we have right now, we have Dareen. She is asking how to make people want to listen to you. I think it's lovely question.
Yeah, that's a very good question, Doreen. Thank you for that. So I'm hesitating actually because of the way you have chosen to word the question is to make people want to listen to you. It's I have a little flinch point at that because making someone else is putting you in the position of control. It's valuing your ego a little higher. Now, maybe that was just a word choice. So maybe I'm being overly sensitive to that. But to want people to listen to you, to help them to want to listen to you, is I think a better way to set your intention of saying, I want to carry myself in a way where people want to listen when I have something to say. And that's where body language comes into it. If you approach someone, and pardon me, Ahmad, if I'm going into way too much detail, but I think it's an important
No,
question,
sure.
is Doreen, if you present yourself in a way that says, I am worth listening to, your body language will matter. If you're crunched over and you're looking up at them and you have sort of a fearful look on their face, they are less likely to want to hear what you have to say. Whereas if you stand up straight with your shoulders back, you have a pleasant smile on your face, you don't have to be big cheesy grin, but a pleasant smile on your face. And if your tone says, I have something important to say, people are more likely to listen to that. So one of the things that a lot of women struggle with is we tend to do what's called a question inflection at the end. So, oh, how are you doing today is a great question. And that is an important place to use that. But I have something to say is a question inflection. And people are like, okay, so they're less likely to take you seriously. So if you say, I would like to add something to this conversation, you're not asking a question. You are saying with very good posture, I have something to say, and it would be great if you listened to me. So making someone want to listen to you, again, I have a little queasiness on the word make, but setting yourself up for success in communication is to carry yourself in a confident way to say, I do have something important to add, and this would be a great time for you to focus. And
What
I'm going to tell you that one of the, I guess, tricks, if you want a little trick, is to talk just a little bit more softly. Make sure you make eye contact so people see that you're getting ready to say something. Then lower your tone just a little bit, because that makes people lean in to have to hear you.
Yeah.
And when they come closer to you, it's a better way to connect.
Yes, I love it. It's really very well summarized. And I think, as you said, that there are many factors on letting people listen to you. Just adding to Dareen what she's saying, she's asking, it's all about the body language, and it's all about facial expression, even and being yourself. This is very, 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 very compelling. That you would let people feel that you are connected, and they will listen to you. And even as you said, that the eye contact itself, it's very essential, because people, when you don't look at them, they feel they lose this connection. They lose it totally at all. And I believe one of the best, and even when I create video, I tell you about this: tonality, and your tone of voice. It's totally different. And I think it's the most effective one when you speak, when you change your tonality, when you know that when you will be calm and when you change your voice, this will let people listen to you. This is real about listening, if you want anyone to listen to you. Coming back to our lovely audience, I think we have lovely engagement today. So we have Kamal. He's saying thank you for this topic. Question, please. How would you convince someone that would be stick to their ideas, uh, except you tell him or her just that want to hear? Thank you.
Oh, that is a good question. I will say I read an interesting article about how to have difficult conversations with someone who has a very different opinion than you. And the basic premise is to come at it from a sign of respect, that they are seeing the world through their own filter as you are. And there may be some truth on both sides. And so, not to negate that I'm right and you're wrong, because that's never going to help. I like to say people like to dig in and say, I'm right, and I'm not going to listen to anything you have to say. Whereas if you say, I'm very curious to see what ways have brought you to this opinion, because I'm very interested to understand your point of view, is a way to help lower their defensive and to help them start to share. And then they may or may not be more likely to hear your point of view as well. There does come a point where you may have to just say, I really appreciate you sharing your opinion with me. I have a different opinion, but I'm respecting that this is just going to be something that we're going to agree to disagree upon.
I see, I see. Totally agree, because sometimes we are, we are stick to our expectation, we stick to our ideas, and we don't want to listen. And sometimes our ideas, it's not the right one. Maybe it's not the best optimal one. So listening to two ways, just to be open to listening, because again, having this rigid mind and rigid ideas, no, I'm always right and everyone is wrong, this is not the right attitude. And if you want so just listen to understand, and then once you understand, you can reply back by a real processing and let people feel connection with you. Thank you, Elaine. Coming back, we have another question here from Adel El Bouti. I think it's a very, very nice question. Please, any tips for to improve communication for the introverted people?
Oh, this one's a good one for me, Adele, because most people will say you're not introverted, Elaine, because this is what I call my ambivert self, where I can do extroverted things and then I'm going to need quiet time to recover from this. So I am more on the introverted side of the introvert extrovert scale. So what I will say is to recognize that we all bring worth. We all add value. And there are a lot of research articles that you can read that will show you that introverts actually make really good leaders. There is the whole thing about the loud and the effervescent and the charisma that extroverted leaders bring. But introverted people tend to be better listeners. They tend to be more effective at creating solutions with other people. So to view yourself in a very positive way if you identify as an introvert, because there are things that we bring to our world that are very, very valuable. So improving communication is to be very intentional and also to practice at least every once in a while, preferably at least once a day, trying to get more comfortable with expressing your opinion and sharing your ideas, because you do bring value. There are things that you have inside of your head, inside of your perspective, that can bring value. And no, don't say, okay, I'm going to get into this meeting and I'm going to talk the whole entire time, because that's not realistic. But to say, I am going to set an intention of, I will add one idea. I will add one piece of value to this meeting so that I am seen as someone of value, because you are. Just because you don't talk all the time doesn't mean you don't have valuable things to add. So I don't know if that helps a little bit, Adil, but I can totally empathize.
I loved it. Thank you, Elaine. We're jumping back to the next question. So we have here Sarah Dardiri. She's saying, in hiring process, how can we evaluate if the candidate is an effective communicator? Can be done through one or two interviews or through tests, for example, based on your experience, for sure.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I I like to joke a little bit that interviews are like speed dating. It's your way to get to know them and then to get to know you. And so to recognize it's a conversation can help to lower the nervousness on the side of the candidate, and also to lower that sense of power and authority. And, I've got all of this from the employer side. Establishing whether or not a candidate is a good communicator depends on the questions you ask, and you being very cognizant of what is their body language saying. How confident are they able to present themselves? Are they a good listener? Do they answer the questions that you've asked, or do they just kind of ignore it and just keep talking? So there's some more subtle ways that you can assess that through body language, through facial expressions. Obviously, someone who sits there and goes, "Oh, are you serious? You're going to ask me that question?" This is probably not someone who's going to be a good team player, but that's a pretty extreme example. So the more subtle ways are a really good way to assess someone by asking those difficult questions. We've all had those questions where when we applied for a job that we were asked, what are your 3 worst, qualities, or whatever they choose. Usually I think it's, what are your 3 worst weaknesses or your weaknesses? And how do they answer that? And more importantly, are they able to say what they're doing to help address those? And you can ask, I've had in interviews, people ask me, how have you handled the difficult situation? And that can be a good way to kind of see how they interact. But really, in real life time, you're there, you're having a conversation with them, ask them good questions, and then watch their body language. Watch how articulate they are able to be while you're in the room with them.
Thank you, Elaine. Thank you so much for the amazing values. So we have another question from Shay. He's saying, what is your favorite tool to assess corporate culture?
Oh, that's a great question. Wow, Shay, thank you for that.
I
I'm
know
having a moment on that one. I have a lot of tools that I like to use to assess teams, to assess individuals, to assess leaders. I like to do team environment settings and see how well they are at, I guess I would say, co-creating solutions together. Give them an issue, give them a problem, and see how innovative they are at collaborating together is sort of an informal assessment. I'm trying to step carefully because we will leave the name out of it. I am certified in one of the assessments that I do like to use. It speaks to my way of addressing teams and companies holistically. I'm curious, Shay, if that answers your question, because I feel like there's something specific you're looking for, and I'm not sure that covers it.
Because Shay, he is a process-oriented, so I know that's why he's asking this question specifically. But I think
okay, I feel like there's something more there that I'm not touching on, but I'm not sure where it is. So please feel free to ask for clarification.
I think also adding to your point, Elaine, it's about asking the right questions. So what corporate culture you want to have, and asking the right questions and having a surveys, asking people and assessing the measurement and see how they think. This will give you like scorecards, or just seeing the points that you have and assessing the gaps, and you can work accordingly on the current gaps that will let you go to the desired corporate culture. There are many. I believe that it's by asking the right questions.
Yes,
thank you.
Absolutely. If you don't mind, Ahmed, I actually am going to add something to my response to Shay's question.
Sure.
And that is one of the things that I encourage to help cultivate a really good corporate culture is I call them the 3 quick questions conversations, where it's 10 minutes between a leader and a team member. And that's to ask, and you can go both directions if you are a humble enough leader, but it typically can be done from the team member to the leader to say, what is one thing that I'm doing well, which sets the conversation up to be positive, and then what's one thing I can do to improve upon. And then a nice, question back from the leader is to say, what's one thing that I can do to support you in being more successful here? And to have that regularly, like once a week, quick 10 minutes, ask those 3 questions. And the reason I like to encourage that, to really set up a good communication in a corporate culture environment, is because it sets up you for neuroscience supports this. What you ask your brain to do is what it's going to look for data to support that. So when a boss knows that once a week I'm going to be asked by this employee, what's one thing I'm doing well and what's one thing I can do to improve upon, you're going to be looking. You're going to be seeking that out. Like, what are they doing really well? And what's one way that I can support them to do something better? And so it's a great way to create more of an interactive environment with your team and also to support open communication. And again, you can go both ways with that, to have the leader ask the team member, what's one thing I'm doing really well? And what's one thing I can do to improve upon? And that's where the key comes in, because you have to, as a leader especially, and as a team member, you have to be willing to implement those changes, because next week you're going to be having this conversation again.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. Thank you. Well summarized. And I can say chapeau. Thank you so much. So coming back to Tamer, he's asking, I think, lovely question also. How can I show my work without more of ego at work?
Okay, no, that is a really good question, Tamer.
Yes.
Depending on the environment that you're talking about, if you're saying that in the proverbial water cooler, standing around the water cooler, I don't even know if a lot of places have that anymore, but if you're standing around and saying, oh, I'm so fabulous, look what I did today, that's a lot of ego that will be very affrontive to other people. If you're wanting to share the value, you can talk about it more in a team environment setting. Say, I'm really proud of what my team and I have been able to do together. You can talk about those kinds of things. Presenting your achievements, you do need to be very careful. I am grateful that I was honored for this particular award. Is a much nicer way to say that than, hey, look at me, look what I did. It's, again, it comes down to your body language. It does come down to your tone. It comes down to how you choose to present that. And it can make a big difference between you being seen as pompous versus you being seen as someone who's proud of yourself and what you've been able to accomplish with other people, and giving credit where credit is due, and definitely being willing to celebrate other people's achievements when those things come to light is going to help people want to be more supportive of when you have had an achievement.
Elaine, I will ask you one question.
Okay.
And I asked you this question before, I think. So just to let our audience know, how do you have this ability to look into the camera? And this is not easy. Look into the camera of the laptop without looking into the screen, because it's not easy. I'm doing the same, because I have my camera on the other side. I have a screen here, and I cannot look to the camera. So can you tell us what is the secret of that? Just for being, because why I'm asking this question, because most in the COVID-19 era that we have right now, most people, they have virtual meetings. So how they can connect directly and looking into the camera? What are you doing? Easily.
So very quickly, thank you for bringing this up. This is such an important topic, because as you will see when I'm looking down at the questions, you'll see that I lose eye contact both with you and with the audience. And yes, I absolutely recognize it does feel weird. It does feel weird because, of course, all I'm looking at right now is the very top of my screen where my little camera is. But that's how you and the audience feels that I'm making eye contact with them, which is the quickest and easiest way to help facilitate that connection with other people. So it does feel weird. You have to let go of the fact that this isn't about me. This is about me making eye contact with my audience and helping them feel that I'm connected with them, even though I'm just staring at the top of my screen. I can't see you right now, but from your perception, you feel that I'm more connected to you because I'm looking at my camera. Whereas if I look at you on the screen, this is what it looks like. And I immediately lose that. So you as a host, I'm going to give you all the grace in the world because you're looking at the comments and you're doing a lot of things. So thank you. You are amazing. Whereas I'm just the guest and I'm just talking to my camera. But that is the easiest way to do what I call bathing your brain in oxytocin, which in the professional setting, I call the connection hormone. It's also called the cuddle hormone, but a connection hormone, which says to the other person, I'm here with you right now. You are important to me because I'm making eye contact with you. So if you will allow me, when people are creating videos, I do have a very quick little low tech tip. That is on your phone to put a little sticky note with an arrow that says, "This is where your camera is. Please, I
Lovely.
am begging you, look at your camera," because it is the quickest way to make eye contact with your audience when you're recording. I know you're really pretty. I know all of you are amazing and handsome, but please look at your audience because that's a great way to make a really quick
Exactly.
connection with them.
Exactly. Thank you for this secret. I think this is invaluable secret. So, guys, you have to follow what she's doing seriously because it will enhance your connectivity with people, especially in the time that we have it right now in pandemic. Thank you, Elaine, for revealing this secret. Thank you. Coming back to our lovely audience, we have now a question from Amr Auf. He's saying, "What is the best advice for new joiners? When and what to communicate?"
Oh, that's a great question, Amr. I will say be open, be curious, be respectful, listen more than you talk. Yes, you will add value, but it's important to know when is the best time to do that. And you're probably not going to know unless you're listening and establishing where do you fit? Where are you a part of the team? And being really observant of other people's body language, and you will start to see how to communicate best with certain people. I like to give the example of if someone's being very direct and very short and very concise with you, it's probably best to mirror that back to them. This is not the time to say, "Oh, well, over the weekend, I had this wonderful time with my family. And oh, did I mention I have a dog?" Because they're going to glaze over and say, "Why does this person not stop talking?" and just get to the point. Whereas someone else is more likely to be more social and they're going to be affronted if you come at them and say, "Okay, this is what I need you to do. And this is how I need it to go." Hello, we're connecting here. We're talking about our weekend. So it's best to observe first and then try to mirror the other person's style of communicating to help them feel better connected to you. And the best way to do that is intentionally listen and observe, especially when you're starting to know people, so that you match them as best as you can while being authentic to yourself.
Thank you, Elaine, so much for this verification. We have another question.
Okay.
Lovely question from Aminatu. How do we have effective communication when we have country barriers?
Oh,
It's a lovely
that's
question. It's a lovely
yeah,
question.
that's a very good question. Thank you so much for that, Amina, too. I will say it is important to remain respectful and to be humble enough to admit that you're not going to know everything. And sometimes that means just simply asking, "I'd really like to be respectful to you and your culture. I don't know a lot about it. Could you tell me a few important things that would be helpful for me to know that will help me to respectfully communicate with you better?" That's a really nice way to present yourself as humble and as willing to learn and remain curious about the other person, and helps them open up to realizing there is a communication difference in between genders, in between cultures. A lot of different things go into that, and being able to use little small things. And that again is the important piece of don't just ask the question and listen and go, okay, and then never follow through. They will feel so much more respected, even if you incorporate one of the things that they tell you, whether it's a greeting in their language. I love learning at least a little bit of someone else's language so that I can show respect for them as an individual and the beautiful diversity that our world includes.
Thank you, Elena. The time, as usual, is flying seriously. And coming back to, I think we have more two questions, and let's go. So we have Osama. He's asking, "How can I be an awesome communicator as you are, Elaine?" So tell us, what is the best advice to be like you?
That is an incredibly kind question. Wow, I'm gonna have to blush a little bit. Uh, I will say a very big but quick answer is work on improving your emotional intelligence and work on being very interested in other people.
Thank you, Elaine. So I will ask you this question from my because I'm so curious. So because this question, I was really struggling myself in that time. So how can we communicate effectively, especially during the meetings or any interviews, and how can we show the real self? Because I believe that when we show ourselves, we attract people and we attract everything like a magnet. So how can we deal in these situations, especially in interviews and meetings, inside business meetings?
I am actually going to say a couple of things that I have said before, and that is to show respect. Show respect both in your body language. Don't sit there and go, you know, don't show that you're not actually interested in what someone else is saying. Look at them when they're talking, make good eye contact, ask good questions about what they have said to make sure you're very clear. That will show respect for them. That will show that you're listening. Show by your body language. You can lean forward towards them to show you're really interested. Try, this is a body language tip, try to keep your hands down away from your face, because having your hands up like this, A, makes it a lot harder for you to be understood. It also can create the sense that you're hiding something or that you don't want to have that connection with somebody else. So your body language really matters, your facial expressions really matter, and how you articulate yourself. To go back to the lovely question that we had earlier of having people want to listen to you will be part of your tonality that you use. You know, if you say, look, I just want to say something, people are going to probably shut down a little bit and be less likely to want to listen to you. So improving your overall emotional intelligence, showing that respect, showing your intentional listening is a great way to connect with other people quickly in that interview meeting environment. And also when you are ready to say something, say it with confidence, knowing that I am adding value.
Thank you so much, Elaine. I want to share just one struggle with people who are listening to us right now. I have faced it and I've learned it along the way in my journey, which is when you're in interview or just when you're in a meeting, just don't speak too much. Just give what people need, because I realized even myself, uh, maybe you have a great experience, you have a great technical operational experience, you have skills, you have all the great stuff that you have, but inside the interview or inside the meeting itself, you will not be able to show yourself. And the reason is that when the people ask you a question, they want you to dive like 1 meter, and then you hope you dive 100 meters down. You get my point? And this will perceive you like you have a miscommunication. You are a miscommunicator. You don't give me what I want. And I know this feeling because you want at this short period, you need to show people what are the talents that you have, what are the experience. But this is an illusion, because people, they don't know the intention that you have or what you have inside you. So give it step by step. And you know what I found it interesting about that? I found that when you move little by little, you will create more curiosity. People will ask you. But if you move and just dive down 100 meters, miscommunication. So just listen, give it drop by drop, drop by drop.
Yes.
This is the advice I've learned myself along the journey.
Yes. Very
Elaine, the last question. The last question. Okay, and I think we have too many questions. So, guys, yeah, excuse us because of the time constraint that we have. But we will be, I promise you that we will be able to answer you after this meeting, inshallah. So, uh, uh, what could be the best advice that you can give to our audience right now to be an effective communicator? Right now, you ask them to do something. Right now,
right.
you can do.
No pressure, Ahmad. I think I would like to say remain curious. Learn about other people. Be open to what can I learn from this person? How can I show interest in them? Because that will be the best way that you'll connect with other people and learn how best to present your ideas when it comes time for your turn.
Thank you so much, Elaine. Thank you for your valuable time. And thank you guys for your amazing questions and your valuable time as well. I'm telling you, just if you want anything, I guarantee you this. Elaine, she is a great communicator. I've personally learned from her too many things. So if you have any questions, if you want to have a mentor, if you want to have a coach, so don't be hesitated to contact her directly. I guarantee you this. You will be in another level in your life. Just connect with her directly. Thank you again, Elaine, for your valuable time. And thank you, guys. And I see you again, inshallah, next week. Thank you.
شكرا جزيلا.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day.